Hey everybody, welcome to the Berdan YouTube channel. We've got something really exciting today, some new products from Chord Electronics. Nobody does digital audio better than Chord Electronics. But before we get into it, punch the subscribe, hit the like, ring that little bell so you get that notification. All right. So, I'm here today with my friend and audio expert, particularly when it comes to digital stuff. Jay Luong is a reviewer with his own website, audiobacon.net. Jay, welcome a lot. I really appreciate you coming. Our video today is about some new Chord Electronics DACs. And I'll tell you, digital audio has come so far in the past couple years. These are two of their most recent products, the Chord Cutest and the Chord Hugo 2, really outstanding values for what they do. They sound like stuff that would have cost 12 times as much just 10 years ago. It's amazing. They've got two new exciting products coming out, the Hugo TT2 and the Hugo M Scaler. Jay knows a lot about the Chord DACs, and I'm going to ask him some questions. What can you tell me about what makes these special, and particularly the new product, the M Scaler?
Okay, so the Hugo M Scaler has kind of the more important guts of the Blu Mk.2 that was reviewed in this room actually. And so it has the same FPGA, same code, but it's in a smaller form factor. It's a lot more affordable for to give people more access to the M Scaler technology, which is a great thing. You don't need to have a Chord DAC to use it, and it will elevate whatever DAC you have connected to it.
Jay, you mentioned that there's code.
Right, so it's about 500,000 lines of code.
And who writes the code?
The genius Rob Watts.
Okay, I wanted to get to Rob.
Okay, well, yeah, Rob is an amazing guy. He very thoughtful, very smart, very hardworking. He drinks a lot of tea. And
a little caffeine there.
Yeah, I think that's his secret. But he takes it very seriously. He takes notes. He's always doing listening tests, and it shows. You know, we were doing some listening tests, listening to 30-second clips for.
So you did
an hour.
These where? I'm sorry.
It was at a friend's place.
With Rob.
With Rob up in Sacramento.
Okay.
We just wanted to get a few ears on the testing, so. It was a really interesting experience to kind of hear.
So the M2 Scaler, I'm sorry, the Blu Mk.2 was the first M Scaler. His dream of like 35 years, right? Right.
So it's the only way to reconstruct an unsampled analog signal with proper timing is with 1,000,000 taps. That's his idea.
So this is a lot of computing horsepower then.
Yes. And so in order to, we had the Dave with 164,000 taps or so with his WTA filter, but in order to get it reconstructed perfectly, his theory was that it had to hit 1,000,000. And it came a lot sooner than we expected with the Blu Mk.2 M Scaler. And many were just wishing they couldn't just have it in a separate package without a transport.
There's another product that was announced. Both these products were announced at Munich, Germany this year, the audio show they had. And the other product is the Hugo TT2.
Right. So the TT2 is a much improved TT1, I guess. It has a much. I think the biggest change in the TT2 over the original is its output stage. So its balanced outputs are 18 watts, so you can drive any headphone or any speaker with it. And
might not get a full volume out of there, but we can bypass a power amp and go right to speakers if we want to.
For probably high efficiency speakers, but we were able to use them for larger speakers as well. Yeah, so he realized that a lot of people were using their Daves and Mojos and Chord Hugo and Chord Hugo 2s to drive speakers, high efficiency speakers directly. So the reason for why people do that is to achieve the highest level of transparency, the highest level of clarity, and the quietest noise floor. So I personally do that myself. I actually drove a pair of Omega speakers directly from the Dave, and you don't need an amplifier in between. So it's hard to beat. The level of transparency is just tough to beat.
You mentioned some transients and why that was important to Rob. Can you elaborate a little bit about why we want to improve on the transients when we're doing digital audio?
Right. So when we listen to a leading edge of a piano note or a pluck of a string, our brains can differentiate the timing between that. So we can actually localize where these instruments are coming from and what type of instrument it is. So these transients tell us a lot about what we hear and the shape of what we hear. So we can kind of hear the shape of the instrument as well. Mm-hmm. And so most DACs, they don't really provide accurate timing information. And so Rob's,
I like the phrase "connect the dots." They just connect dots.
Well, they just connect the dots, but the philosophy behind Rob Watt's design, and it's very logical. You have, in order to figure out how something sounds, you have to look ahead and you have to look behind. So the M Scaler actually is capable of analyzing 1.3 seconds worth of music, and so that's the only way you can actually reconstruct timing cues accurately.
Okay.
Right. So a lot of DACs will probably just connect the dots, or they kind of look a little bit forward, a little bit back. But concert halls, they can go up to like 1.3 seconds of decay in the room, right? So it made sense to have that much of I guess buffer to reconstruct the signal.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So
how would you, now you've heard the new TT2. I know it was just a prototype you heard, but tell us a little bit about what that sounded like.
Okay, so I did hear the prototype TT2 and the prototype Hugo M Scaler. I'm sure a lot has changed since then, but when we did comparisons with Dave fronted by the Hugo M Scaler, and the TT2 fronted by the M Scaler, there were pretty large differences. The TT2 is a little bit warmer. It had a more lusher sound, but the biggest difference is depth. So it didn't have that spatial depth or resolution that the Dave had, and that's due to the 10-element pulse array versus the 20-element pulse array of the Dave. However, the TT2 has a much more powerful output stage with, I think, 6 super caps on both the positive and negative 15 rails, which drives a lot of current. So there's plus and minuses, but I feel a lot of people are going to really like the TT2 just for its versatility and power.
So we kind of feel, at least I do, from what I know of Chord Electronics, and every time they've come out with a new product, it's always a hit. There's always people lining up to get one. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a real competition killer.
Yes, I feel the same way, and I only heard a prototype, so it's going to be a very interesting landscape after the M Scaler is in more hands. So that's for sure.
Both these products we hope to see by the end of the year, probably very close to November. They'll both be, depending on how the British pound goes, about $5,000 or $6,000 each. Quite a potent combination.
Yeah, but it'll be worth it.
All right. Thanks everybody for holding on. Hey, we've got punch the like, hit the subscribe, ring the bell. Thank you so much for watching.